I coach a lot of relationships and couples, and I tell them you're either going to choose the discomfort of having difficult conversations, or you're going to choose the discomfort of having a disconnected marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you wake up to go like, oh, I'm choosing the discomfort in my life. I am the architect. How freeing is that to realize that I then have to choose a different discomfort.
Shilina,
a human behavior specialist
and entrepreneur coach.
At the times, I was actually coaching someone recently, was going through someone cheating on them. They were in this deep state of sadness and anger and like this loop. Whatever they tried, and they're like trying to meditate, and I'm trying to listen to music, and I get out to nature, and I work out once a day, and I'm doing all these things, but it's not working. And so in cases like that, the thing to do then is...
Welcome to It's Your Choice podcast. Today on the show, we have Shilina. Anna has, for over a decade, has guided thousands of entrepreneurs in breaking free from limiting habits and creating deeply fulfilling relationships. She's blending her experience and expertise in human behavior, mindset, and leadership. Anna empowers high achievers to create lasting change that elevates both their personal and business success. Welcome to the show, Anna.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm very excited to have you here. Anna, how do you define freedom when it comes to breaking habits, and what does it really look like?
Freedom is when we have a conscious choice in something. So for work, for example, so many people go to work because they have to pay the bills, right? Or even have a business because they have to pay the bills. That isn't freedom, because it doesn't feel like a choice, right? So freedom is really, am I coming from a place of choosing, truly being free to choose? And another definition of freedom that I love comes from Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, where he talks about freedom being that between the stimulus and the response, there's a space. And in that space is our freedom. Because as human beings, we are very conditioned, right? We have a stimulus and then we respond a certain way. And most of us are responding to stimuli throughout all our lives the exact same way, because that's how we've been conditioned. That's the programming that we have. And when we wake up to the idea, wait a minute, I have a supercomputer in my brain. I can train myself to react differently. I have a choice. Then that's freedom. Having that awareness, creating, I call it the Frankel pause, creating that pause between the stimulus and the response, and then waking up to the idea, I used to react that way and make that choice, but that one is limiting me. That one is not creating the reality that I really want to live. A different response and reaction would be this one. And this is me stepping into this version of myself that is creating the life and reality that I'm choosing. That is freedom.
What about then when people say, yeah, but I have to do this work or this job because I have to pay the bills and I don't have any other choice. I've got family, I've got bills. Like, I can't just quit my job and do what I want to do.
Yeah, I agree. You shouldn't just quit your job and do what you want to do. But let's be very honest with ourselves and look at the time that you're spending that's not in the job and in the responsibilities. The free time that you have, are you using it to escape your current reality and numb out? Or are you using it to create a new reality? Because we all have, if it's an hour a day, half an hour a day, 20 minutes a day, 1 hour a week, whatever it is, wherever you can start there. If it's 20 minutes a week, what are you doing to actually create the new reality versus escape and numb out the one you're currently in?
Now, I think a lot of people spend the time escaping the reality. And with that, I'm not about not going out and having fun with friends and doing things because we need to do that. But at the same point, how much time are we spending going out with our friends and doing things? Financially, how much are we spending doing that as well? And I was at a seminar a long, long time ago, and I can't remember the exact way it was worded from the speaker, but it was something along the lines of the best way or the best chances for you to achieve success is everybody has this square thing in their house and it's plugged into the wall. And if you unplug it and then cut cord, then you are not watching TV. And you could spend that time working on whatever you want to do, learning the new thing of what you want to do and and then work towards that. And as you said, don't just quit the job. We don't want people to do that unless they're financially able to, but most people aren't. So it's spending that time to transition and learn. And I get it. Sometimes we just like don't want to think, just tired, had a long day, don't want to do anything. And it's okay sometimes to watch TV. But and I don't know what the statistics is, but the last that I recall hearing is something like we spend 4 hours a day, the average person watching TV. And that's a lot of time. Like even if you took it to 1 hour, right? Like so you could still do say 1 hour of TV, that still frees up 3 hours of time every single day for you to work on something or learn something.
You know what? It depends on the season that you're in, because you're either going to choose the discomfort of your current reality, which includes watching 3, 4 hours of TV and I don't know how many hours doom scrolling, or you're going to choose the discomfort of shutting that whole thing off and learning a new skill set or going after your dream or having a side hustle or whatever it is. And you are either consciously choosing your discomfort or unconsciously choosing your discomfort. But life is discomfort. That's it. It's discomfort on either side. You're going to experience discomfort if you don't go to gym, and you're going to experience discomfort if you do go to gym. Which discomfort are you choosing? That it's over and over again in many different areas. I coach a lot of relationships and couples, and I tell them you're either going to choose the discomfort of having difficult conversations, or you're going to choose the discomfort of having a disconnected marriage. Which one do you choose?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And so when you wake up to go like, oh, I'm choosing the discomfort in my life. I am the architect. I am choosing this, albeit unconsciously. How freeing is that to realize that I then have to choose a different discomfort? And so I'm not the type of coach that says you can continue to watch a couple hours of TV a night if you want to. I'm like, shut that shit off now. Do it for a month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, however long it takes for you to pivot and really create the life that you want. No more excuses. None of this. Like you're not a child. If you're a child, different story. You're an adult. And so if you're an adult and you really want what you say you want, then let's make it happen. Because it's not going to be easier to create it down the line. Now is the easiest that it will ever be. And so I have quite a high standard for the people that I work with.
Well, and I mean, it makes sense. And you're right. It is a choice. There are always challenges. That's why it's called life. And it is a choice of what we do. So that's why kind of hence the name of this podcast is it is a choice. And which way do you want to be? And I think though with a lot of that is we need to take responsibility for ourselves, for our life, and think of we are exactly where we are because of every decision that we've made. Now I know that some people be like, well, it's not my fault that this happened or that happened or whatever. And right, Whereas for some things, we have zero fault to it, but how we respond and react is our responsibility. So,
Yeah,
and in
not your
some cases,
fault. It is your responsibility, like you said there.
and sometimes though we say it's not our fault, but it's like, really? Maybe a percentage of it, maybe you're like 10% or 20%, because there are a number of things that we still have responsibility for. Like, I'll just use as an excuse, if a relationship is falling apart and somebody cheats on the other person. Well, the relationship was falling apart. And what kind of happened? Now, sure, there are some serial cheaters out there who just do no matter what. But generally speaking, if things were happy and good and they fell apart, both people have some responsibility in that. I don't want to say that it's somebody's fault that a person cheats, but there is some responsibility in that. Pardon the interruption. If you're liking the show so far, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. It really means a lot to me. It helps grow the show and the channel and to the show. How do you feel about that?
There's two things I'd like to share. And the first is, in my book Habit Freedom, I actually write about unreasonable responsibility. We've heard radical responsibility, radical ownership, and all of that. And I read the book Unreasonable Hospitality, and I was like, what if we applied unreasonable to responsibility? Even if it's unreasonable for me to take responsibility here, what would it look like? How empowering would it be for me to go like, holy smokes, fine, I'll take that, all that responsibility. Not my fault. Life happens. That's life. But I will take unreasonable responsibility. And that shift, really, because even in radical responsibility, it can be like, oh, okay, sure, I can take some radical responsibility. But when you take unreasonable responsibility, that takes it to the next level. The other thing that takes things to the next level of empowering your life and creating a reality you love and don't need to numb out from is understanding that every relationship you've ever had is 80% you. For two reasons. One, we experience everything through our own filters.
Yes.
Everything. There's not a thing that comes through. Some people who have done a lot of work, there's this quote that I love that says, heal so that you can hear what the other person is saying without the filter of your own wound. Now, that's nice in theory. In practicality, we are all walking around with filters that come from wounds.
Right.
And to various degrees. There's an entire spectrum of it. Some people much less so, and others are. But at the end of the day, nothing happens independently of your brain in your reality. It's all coming through a filter. And the second reason why every relationship is 80% you, because yeah, sure, the 20%, there's, comes from the other person, is that I truly believe that the world is a mirror and that every relationship is a mirror. Now, when we're not conscious to this philosophy, then the unconscious man attacks the mirror because they don't realize it's a mirror. The unconscious man, woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
The conscious person realizes that everything is a mirror and uses that as an opportunity to evolve.
That's hard. That's
Very.
to really think, because it would be easy to say, well, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't act that way. I wouldn't say those things. But it makes it difficult to be like, wow, because it is what we're thinking. Well, if this person does this or thinks that, it reminds me of the saying when somebody does or says something and accuses another person. And we think, well, that's crazy. What is that? A guilty conscience? Like, are people accusing and doing because they have or they would? And so that reminds me of that I remember from many years ago. Somebody remember did something and a friend's like, oh, is that a guilty conscience? Are they saying that because that actually is them? And that would be the mirror.
So I really believe that every judgment is a secret confession. And I know a lot of people are not going to like to hear that. I don't know if I should apologize. I don't want to apologize. I'm not going to apologize.
Don't apologize. Do not apologize.
But it can be, if you've never been exposed to this concept, it can be quite jarring. It's like, because we're so conditioned to be in our victim consciousness that things are happening to us, at us, that person did this and I'm the victim, I'm the victim, I'm the victim. And that becomes a way of life. That's an addiction. That's a habit. That's those things. And so the next step starts to become breaking the habit of being yourself. Borrowed that from Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's a teacher of mine as well. And at the end of the day, it's like, well, you choose the discomfort. You choose the discomfort of being a victim, or you choose the discomfort of unreasonable responsibility and seeing the reflection. And one of the most powerful practical exercises that I help my clients tap into is very simple. It's called Just Like Me. So when you find yourself in this judgment, this person is an asshole, so rude or disrespectful, and if you just say, just like me, this person is disrespectful. Let's use this example. But I wouldn't be like that. But then no, let's be more honest with ourselves, because I know we all have shadows and we all have things that we disown and dislike about ourselves and don't show off to the world, right? But honestly, where have you been disrespectful to other people, to yourself? And if you are really honest, the only reason why disrespect is showing up in your field, in your reality, is to show you where you have some work to do, where it's something for you to work on. And I have been living with this philosophy for decades, a good couple decades, where I've been evolving it and stepping into it more and more. Do I get it right every time? No, I still get butthurt, and I still get like, oh, how could you? And then I'm like, wake up, oh, wait a minute. Thank you so much for showing me the disrespect, because that means there's some disrespect in my field. Instead of playing the victim, how can I take that ownership of like, okay, well, if there's disrespect in my field, where am I disrespecting myself or others? And it could be, this is what happens often. So maybe I've broken some promises to myself and I haven't respected my own word. That sounds pretty disrespectful. So maybe that's what it's showing me, So it could be many different creative forms of disrespect, but disrespect is in your field for you to see it and have a look at it and then take responsibility for it. I recently had a friend who felt like she was like just going through a very miserable time. So I was talking to another friend. I was like, oh, my friend, she's going through, like, she's so miserable. Like, how do I help her? And then I just look at my friend who knows the same philosophy of everything is a mirror. And I was like, oh, it means that I'm miserable someplace that I wasn't even aware of, right? So this showing up in my field gave me an opportunity to look at my own misery that I had a blind spot to. So that's how I like to use this philosophy of everything is a mirror and every relationship is a mirror as a personal development tool.
It's a great one, because if we add just like me, like, I just think instantly it's a bit of an, I need to look at that. And it's easy to think, as you said, like right away, oh no, I'm not that. But where is that showing up? And a lot of times with the example that you gave of the disrespect, we are terrible to ourselves. The way we speak to ourselves most of the time, we would not be friends with ourselves. And we're stuck with it and we continue to do it. So I think that is a really good thing to look at and be aware that we have blind spots. And things do change. What chapter of life are we in? What season within that chapter? And where are we at? To look at how am I behaving? What am I seeing? And it is kind of similar to what people say, whatever you look for, you will find. Right? If you look for good and happy and joyful things, you will find it, and those things are around. But if you kind of look for the scary fear, whatever based bad things, we will find more of that. And that's very easy to do on both sides with the internet and how we have access to so much information, and like attracts like. Pardon the interruption. If you're enjoying this episode and you're someone who values performance, clarity, and personal growth, then you're going to love my Mind Matters weekly newsletter. Every week, I send out a quick, powerful piece designed to help high achievers like you master your mindset, upgrade your habits, and lead with more clarity and fulfillment. It's not fluff, it's science backed, actionable, and easy to digest. It as your weekly reset button to realign with the leader you're becoming. So if you want to go deeper than what we've covered here on the show, then head over to www.sallypederson.com, that's me, and subscribe. Your next breakthrough just might be one email away. Now back to the show.
Yes, on that topic of we will find what we're looking for, our brain's a supercomputer. So if you're looking for ways that you're similar to the judgment that you have, you'll find it. If you're looking for ways how different and special and not like that you are, you will find it. And one creates separation and one creates compassion. That's your choice, whether you want to feel more separate from that person and feel more vindicated in your perspective, or you want to feel more connected and more compassion.
Yeah. And I mean, I think most of us want to feel more connection and compassion. I feel we need more of that in the world right now. And just realizing that these things really are up to us, and how we feel is a choice. And I know that there's people that won't agree with it at all, and some that don't. But the easiest way is, our feelings can get hurt. We can be sad, we can be disappointed, and we need to have all those feelings. That's part of being alive, is experiencing all of those feelings. But then how long do you want to be sad or hurt or disappointed? And it's not meaning to think that we shouldn't have those feelings, or be upset about them, but I would rather have that feeling for a shorter period of time and then change it to being happy and joyful. And it's, in a way, it's easy to change our feelings. And we've done it before, where you just think of something happy and excited that you're looking forward to or recently happened. We can get ourselves happy. We listen to music. It picks up our spirits. It gives us energy, makes us happy. Or the opposite. We listen to sad music. We can be sad. We can think about sad things that will make us sad. And so feelings are also a choice. So how we react to those things that are going on around us is also up to us.
So I love that you brought up emotional alchemy. So alchemy is turning lead to gold. So sometimes we have these emotions that feel like lead. They feel dense and heavy and contractive. So humans can only have two states of being. We either are expansive and feel joy and gratitude and love and awe, or we feel contracted and fear and sadness and anger and all those things. All emotions fit into those two states. And sometimes we need temporary relief. So out of the lead into the gold, either out of the density into the expansion. And that's where you can shift your state, go for a walk, dance to some music, get into nature, talk to a friend. Other times, I was actually coaching someone recently who was going through someone cheating on them, or their partner cheating on them. And they were in this deep state of sadness and anger and like this loop, So whatever they tried, and they're like, I'm trying to meditate and I'm trying to listen to music and I get out to nature and I work out once a day and I'm doing all these things, but it's not working. And so in cases like that, the thing to do then is to feel the sadness even more. So emotional alchemy often happens, and I do this with tools like movies. So I will look up saddest movies that you can ever watch, whether for me, it's like My Sister's Keeper, 7 Pounds. There's a couple of Smith movies that are just heartbreaking, right? It's like, oh my gosh. And Pursuit of Happiness, things like that really like tug, and for everyone it's going to be different, a tug at the heartstrings. And I want to sit with this movie, or I'll play some music that really makes me more sad, and I want to go in it deeper. So again, this is when the other stuff doesn't work, when you try to meditate and you try to dance it off and it doesn't work. This is like the deep, deep work. Is I want to feel the sadness even more. I'll sit down and be like, let's go all the way, let's feel it. And what often happens is sadness mutates and alchemizes into anger. And anger is a catalyst emotion. So with anger, we can do lots of things. With anger, it's very important to not direct it at someone or ourselves, because it's a very, very powerful force and emotion. And so it's important to be able to feel the anger in a contained way, right? And you can like jump it off or rip a piece of paper or punch a pillow or scream into a pillow. But at the end of the day, to be able to feel, and this is the hard part, it's how do I feel safe to feel this angry? How do I feel safe to feel this sad, right? So that's like the baseline of it all. And once you go deeper, that the fastest way to the other side is through, because most of us, and this is where the limiting habits come in, we're numbing out, we're doom scrolling, we're binging series, we're drinking some alcohol, we're eating a bag of chips, whatever it is that's like just distracting us. And then we wonder why we're stuck in this humdrum, this gray area where nothing is really exciting anymore, because we're not feeling deeply enough, we're just distracting ourselves. And so I find this emotional alchemy process of feeling more sadness, more anger in a safe and contained way. And on the other side of that, then the expansion comes up, because naturally every cycle of contraction is going to be followed by expansion. But if we aren't giving ourselves that permission and creating that environment to feel that contraction deeply, that expansion also doesn't happen for us.
And that makes sense, especially to me, because before, and I've traveled a lot, and I would be traveling, and I talk to people, and things are great, but then every now and then I would get into a bit of a slump, and I'd be like, my life sucks. I have no friends wherever I'm at because I'm traveling, and it's Friday night and people are doing fun stuff. And then I would have a bit of a conversation with myself saying, Sally, you're being stupid because you have this fabulous life. You're traveling the world. You're doing all these things. There's no reason for you to be feeling this way. And it would kind of drag on for a few days. And then once I decided, you know what, it's okay. And I'm going to have, I call it a pity party. So I will watch sad movies. So I cry. I will get a bottle of wine. I will get pizza or potato chips or chocolate, like all the bad stuff, or that the unhealthy things. And I will be at home or wherever I'm staying. And I give myself basically that night, from whatever time that feeling starts, I have a self pity party by myself. And I always feel better the next day.
Yes.
And I thought, wow, that it works. And so then I thought, okay, whenever I'm really feeling this way, then I will have a pity party, and I'm allowed to, and I allow it, and I always feel better the next day.
Yeah. The healing is in the feeling. I feel that so so many of the problems that we experience and disconnection from ourselves, from source, from each other comes from distracting ourselves from feeling. Because somewhere along the line, we learned that feeling is painful, feeling isn't safe. And so we don't give ourselves that discomfort or lean into that discomfort of the feeling. And what we don't realize is unconsciously what we're choosing is the discomfort of dragging out that feeling and dragging out that suffering.
Right. So it is best to feel it and then kind of move on because we automatically will. And sometimes we may have to give ourselves a bit of a timeline. Um, and some things do take longer. When we have the loss of a loved one, a parent, a family member, something like that, obviously a pity party one night for myself is not going to be enough. But it's then knowing, okay, part of the process, and it does take a little bit longer, but we still have to feel those feelings to be able to move on in time.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, some wounds will take however long they take. I realized this when last year I came out of a Vipassana meditation retreat center. So it's 10 days of silence. And the wound that I got to heal in those 10 days was cosmic loneliness. So I remember feeling lonely from when I was a child. It was one of the first feelings I've ever remember. And this feeling like constantly would follow me. It didn't matter if I was in a room with people who loved me or not. Like I just was constantly feeling that nobody really got me, like there's that loneliness. And through meditation, I got to, and lots of other modalities. I spent like 20 years, doing different interesting things. But it was in that retreat that I realized, oh, what is this strange feeling? I'm like, I'm not feeling lonely anymore. And I realized that that wound was going to heal whenever it healed. It was, and when I tried to like put ointments on it and another ceremony and another therapy and another breath work and another this, it's like it helps, it does, but you can't rush. There's this beautiful song that I love, which says like you can't rush the healing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a beautiful aha moment where I was like, oh, I'm okay with the healing taking as long as it's taking. I can't rush the healing. The wound is going to heal. When the wound heals, they always do heal. And beautifully enough, after being single for 8.5, 9 years, I met my partner like 3 days later after that
Wow.
that like aha moment. It was like, oh, I don't feel lonely anymore, and the healing takes as long as it takes. So yeah, that was a very tangible result of that for me.
That's fantastic. And I do want to talk about your book a little bit, Habit Freedom. What inspired you to write your book?
My own journey of struggling to break free from my numbing out with alcohol. I struggled for 7 years where I was sober curious. I hired a sobriety coach at one stage. I read so many books. I downloaded sobriety apps. I listened to the podcast. I tried so many things. And I had thousands of day ones. I would create little videos on my phone going like, Anna, please don't drink, just to remind myself, like if I did have the itch, and I'd start over and over again. And so yeah, this book is the story of breaking free from that. And because I'm a human behavior specialist, I could break down the exact steps. Right, had to get comfortable with the discomfort of cravings, so that I write about like really that relationship with discomfort. I had to have a relationship with the light. So I had to fill my life with things that light me the F up so that I didn't need the dopamine from the numbing behaviors. Right. I really struggled and would fall back into the limiting habits because I'd like white knuckle and be like, okay, like I didn't drink for 3 days, for 5 days, for 7 days, for 2 weeks. And then it'd crack because I didn't fill my life because nature abhors a vacuum. And so we need to fill our lives with things that we don't need to numb out from. And then I also had to create the relationship with the inner child that didn't feel safe in the world and didn't feel safe in the now and didn't enjoy the now, was trying to escape the present moment, and do a lot of inner child healing around that. And the 15-year-old that started drinking to fit in and be cool and was her superpower. And now my new superpower is being present with people. It's really beautiful. I had someone come up to me the other day and they're like, your presence. And I'm like, you have no idea how long I've been working on it. you know? And yeah, so yeah, from my own story, and then also distilling all the lessons of how to break free from any limiting habits, because I was able to apply it to food and eating much better and releasing a whole lot of weight and looking much better, feeling much better in my skin. I was able to apply it to doom scrolling and binge watching, to biting my nails. So I was lucky enough to have many limiting habits that I could write about and now help other people with.
Well, that's fantastic. So, Anna, where can they find the book? And for our listeners, if they wanted to work with you or get in touch with you, where can they find you?
The book is at habitfreedom.com. And to reach me, simply go to Instagram at Anna Shilina, and I welcome DMs about habits and relationships.
Perfect. And I will make sure that those links are in the show notes to make it easy for everybody to get the book and connect with you. And I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sally. I had an amazing time with you today.